Hi, I'm Andrew Spieler,
And I'm Mary Hope Rennie.
and you're watching or listening to Behind the Sign, real stories from real estate. Welcome back to another episode, and this week we have a special guest. It's not just Mary Hope and I, which
Finally.
is nice, right?
I know.
I've been getting so used to just having two microphones here. I was like, oh, a third mic today. It's
I
exciting.
think people probably stop listening to. They're like, oh, is it just Andrew?
Well, I don't know. The
Hope
bidding
stuff.
war one was kind of fun,
That was a good one.
right? So,
was.
all right. So, Mary Hope, would you like to
Oh.
introduce our special guest?
We do. We have a special guest of Chantel Pierre-Louis. Did I say that right?
You did.
Oh, okay, good. So Chantel has been an agent for a little over a year with us. And we have been doing a lot of interviews with agents who have been in the industry for several years. Mostly 4, 5, some 20 years, 25 years. And talking about their success and what went well. However, because we're talking about going behind the sign and really looking into what real estate looks like, I thought it would be perfect to bring you on as a newer agent, because it's kind of still fresh in your mind, what it was like to start as a brand new agent, what got you into it, and obviously why were you successful. So that's kind of why we want to bring you on. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mary Hope, and thank you, Andrew, for having me here.
So tell us a little bit about you, Chantel, just a little bit about you and how you got into my office last February.
All right, so I'm a retired hairstylist now.
For a
Okay.
second, I thought you were saying I'm a Virgo. I was like,
How'd
great
you
way to say.
know?
Wait, are you really? Oh, wow. That's because I'm psychic.
We have that. That's the back end of this,
Yeah.
right? Your intuition. Okay, so you're a retired hairstylist.
Yes. So when I got into real estate last year in July, I decided to get my license because my husband was like, "Oh, you should do this. I think you'd be great at it." I've bought and sold quite a few homes now, and
Before getting your license.
before getting my license. And the last transaction we had on the last property we sold, I was like, I don't understand really what real estate agents do. Like, I'm gonna.
Why are they getting paid so much?
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
So I was like, okay, let's see what this is about. And so I decided to take the leap. I prayed about it a lot because I'm like, what am I really doing?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like either continue and like my hair, where I'm restarting and rebuilding because I moved from Connecticut back to New Hampshire.
Got it.
So either rebuild and start my hair salon or
Mhm.
jump into a completely new career. Like, why not? And I wasn't too sure about that. And
Yeah.
I continued doing hair, started doing my studying. And in January, when I completed my licensing, I went to a couple different brokerages. And when I came to KW, like the core values of KW is really what got me to want to be here. God's in the statement, right? God, family, and then business. And that's really my motto, right? Like God first, my family, and business. I'm like, I know where I need to be. But
So it wasn't just me.
it was, and you, right? You too. And you
Totally.
are, you are an inspiration though, hearing your story. Yeah, absolutely.
And so, just to get the timeline straight, so you got licensed in July of last year,
No, I got licensed in January.
in January of last year.
Yeah. She said July, but
Oh, okay.
I started studying in July.
got it.
I
Okay.
took my time.
That's good. You did it.
Yeah, I
And you
did.
passed your exam in January, and then you jumped right in.
Yeah, I did. And that was by the grace of God because I was doing someone's hair. And she said, I just kind of threw it out there like, yeah, I just got my real estate license. This was before I even came to KW
Yeah.
to hang my license.
Okay.
And she goes, oh, you're going to help me buy a house. And I was like, oh,
Oh, sure.
yes, I am.
Yeah.
And
After I finish your.
the next day, I came here to get my license.
And I kind of do remember, like, we need to make this happen fast.
Yes.
Which actually is one of those qualities. It drives the back end crazy, right? Because we want to do things the right way. But an agent that already is like has people in their back pocket ready, that means they've been talking about it. That means they're usually going to be successful because they're already thinking like an agent. Fine. I mean, you had a conversation with someone you were doing hair with. You didn't have to say you were getting into real estate.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So although, there's a lot of things that get us to where we are, there are activities that we have to do that. So, so tell us what that was like. I mean, thankfully you had someone right that you knew that wanted to get into it. And I know that it wasn't like immediately you closed the deal the next month.
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
So what did you start doing?
Going to all the classes, a lot of classes. I'm still doing a lot of classes, a lot of the education, and um, just being out with people, talking to people and being brave. The first deal I did close was actually from a birthday party that I went to, and I overheard a conversation where someone was showing off their property.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh, are you guys like remodeling?" And she's like, "No, actually, I'm getting it ready to sell." And I said, "Oh,
Did you
do
know
you have
this
an agent?"
person really well?
No,
Okay.
no.
I'm trying to grab clues because people are like, I don't know people. I don't. But you just said you overheard a conversation and you were brave enough. You used the word brave, which maybe we'll get into, and insert yourself in that conversation. And I'm sure you weren't rude about it because you're a very nice person. But you were brave enough to be a part of that conversation. What got you? What allowed you to go and have a conversation like that?
Just being in front of people. I think the confidence to just be like, "Hey, do you have a realtor?" Because that's what it ended up being. Like I just asked, like, "Oh, do you have a realtor yet?" She said no. I was like, "Hi."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was the start of a great relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So I have a little,
Yeah, oh,
little
good.
story to add to this.
Good.
Okay. So you came in here to do your headshot, and I remember asking you what you did, and you were talking about being a hairdresser and getting into this, right? And I remember very distinctly you were like, I think I'm going to be successful. Do you remember saying that?
Probably. I'm a little
So,
cocky.
so you, no, but you said
I
it.
love it.
But you said it because you said it seems like the most important part of this job is just talking to people. And I was like, it is. It's just having conversations. And you were like, oh, I have conversations with people all the time in my chair, right? And I was like, yep, you do. And that's exactly where you're going to start picking up business is from those conversations that, you have people in your chair. When I was on set, some of my closest friends were hair and makeup artists on set.
Mm.
Not only because they were like cool people, but they also would just strike up conversations with talent. And so they would be able to know what was going on in the background and have very close relationships with people to the point where they would trust the hair and makeup team more so than the director, more so than the producer, more so than the other actors because of that intimate sort of bond that happens when you're there, like touching someone's face and head, right? There's a vulnerability that just sort of comes through there. And that's an arena that you've had a lot of experience in. And so to take it and transpose it now into real estate, I was like, she's going to be a natural. And then sure enough, I get word of like all the closings. And I was like, well, that makes total sense.
Well, we haven't even talked about her success.
I know.
But I do want to go to that because as you're saying that, being a hairdresser and being comfortable having conversations and about their life, like it's all about them. They're not real. You're not telling them about your life usually. And, you do get into that, but not fully. You're listening. And it's not for what you're going to gain. And so when someone hears like, I can't go and interrupt a conversation and tell people I'm an agent, to most people that would be like, that's too pushy. But you were interested and jumped in and you're comfortable with that type of conversation to insert yourself into people's lives.
Well, you have to be. I think it boils down to like what Bill says, right? Like I'm going to be the person that's going to care the most.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I know my work ethic. I know my background. I know I care. I don't care about the outcome, but I do care about you hitting your goal. So if I can help you hit your goal, that's the most important thing.
Not hitting your goal, but hitting their goal.
Hitting their goal. And that was another thing. Like the first year and I didn't have any goals. Like I still don't really have goals. I had a conversation with Tony because he's my coach. And he was like, we got to know what your numbers are and what this is. And I'm like, I actually don't care.
That's why we got along at the beginning because I didn't know numbers for the first 10 years.
Well, I don't, it's not about, well, and I get
it. Your numbers. You knew your numbers because you tracked your numbers last year because you knew to the penny when you would cap.
Right.
So you track your numbers. So
Well,
Don't do as I do. Do
what
as
was-
Chantel.
well, no, that was more so because it was like, okay, when can I not pay KW? Right?
Yeah, no. When can I give myself a raise? It's a big deal.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about the success. So so you had someone kind of in your back pocket, but that's not who closed your first deal.
No.
And am I correct? So you joined us in February, right? End of January, beginning of February
Last year.
of last year, a year ago.
Yeah.
And your first closing wasn't until June or July.
June. Yeah.
There we go. I've used that often lately because so many people feel like I can't get the momentum. I can't get the momentum. I've been doing this for 3 months and I haven't seen a paycheck.
Yeah.
Did you feel that?
No.
Because you weren't even paying attention to that?
No. Well, and I was working, right? So I was still doing my hair job. I still had cash. I feel it now. Like I totally feel it now because I went from like, oh, I had all these great checks to now I'm like, oh, I have no checks.
Yeah, because it's all or nothing. Because it's not a.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the famine.
So you were working your full-time job. You're doing hair.
Not full time.
Okay.
Yeah, sometime.
Sometimes.
Sometime.
Oh, I like that. Not full-time, sometime.
Sometimes full time.
But you were dual career, which actually we were just pulling numbers. We have a dual career committee now, and 68% of our agents that have joined in the last year consider themselves dual career.
Yeah, and you know what the benefit to being dual career is?
Tell me.
It's you have the opportunity to already be in front of people and talk about what you're doing
Mhm.
outside of work.
Yeah.
So even if it's not you, we have referral partners. It's linking up with other agents, and that's what I did was like leverage other agents, and I had the ability to learn from other agents and yeah, like Mary Bly, she's amazing. She helped me so much last year.
So you worked right hand in hand with a bunch of agents, which is a fascinating and interesting concept in real estate because we all own our own businesses. So a lot of agents are protective of their business. But I think, am I correct that you just being there, being yourself with other agents, first of all, they started trusting you and working with you and allowing you to be hand in hand with them. So did you just start shadowing Mary? Or how did that start?
An open house. It all started at an open house.
Yeah.
Like most things do.
Right?
Yeah. But you put yourself out there.
Right. And I think there is a level of trust that comes with that, right? Because, you know, people want to make sure that what they're doing isn't like the work that they're putting in isn't going out the window.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And I think not being greedy too, like a lot of people probably like they say, oh, I want 25% or 50% or whatever they want for their cut. But it's like, I think it just has to work. Like you
Yeah.
have to have a mutual agreement of like what's going to work and understand sometimes you work a little harder than the other person. But if you're in a relationship together, like that other person may work a little harder than you will.
Yep.
It just goes hand in hand.
Yep. So can I get down to the nitty gritty and talk about some numbers? Are you okay with me sharing your numbers? The reason I say this, she's like, no, because people need to know what's possible. And if you put the work in, there's rewards. So you started in February
Of 2024.
of 20. Thank you. We're not numbers people. By end of the year of 2024, I believe you had made $145,000. There you go. I said it.
In gross revenue, right? Not
In commission.
In GCI.
She
In
received
GCI.
Yeah.
GCI. And you just told us that your first closing was in June.
Mhm.
So you did that in 6 months. You did a lot of work up to it, but the closings were only in the last 6 months.
Mhm.
That's a lot. And we think you probably made more in that amount of time than any agent in our office has. And that's why you got an award last year, because you put that much work in and got that. And you did something. And that's what I want. What did you do, or what do you attribute that to? Because that's more than you were making as a hairdresser. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I need to say. Right?
it's more than I made as a hairdresser, that's for sure.
it's more money than most people have ever made.
Yeah, I would say the help of great mentors like Mary Bly, um, my husband, number one, my friends and family, like just talking me up and supporting me in all of it. And that's really just putting in the work, putting
Putting
your
in the
head
work.
down and put the work in. And, everything works and nothing doesn't.
Yep.
Or is that right?
Before we started, you said that there was a moment though where you were like, I should quit. What point in that trajectory were you like, I should hang it up? And then what brought you back from the break?
Wait, I'm thinking that right now.
Like, I'm done.
And this, no, I'm just kidding. Well, what?
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's
Okay,
hard.
keep talking about that.
Right? Lead generation, talking to people. So, it's finding the balance, right? Like I've always like I told you before, like I always go out with people, I hang out with people. I'm like genuine in terms of like wanting to get to know people and spend time with them.
Yeah.
But now I feel like there's like a little bit of a hidden agenda,
Mm.
right? Like now it's like, oh, now I'm a real estate agent and I want to sell your house.
So when you were still doing the hairdressing work sometimes, was there a certain point where you kind of stopped doing that because you got so busy with real estate last year?
No, not
No?
really.
Are you still doing it? Hairdressing?
For like my friends and family, but not
Right.
really. Not enough.
Okay.
No.
Well, so here's like a psychological
Yeah.
question I have for you. Do you find that having this sort of dual career, because like you're saying with almost 70% of agents have
Yep.
dual career, having the dual career gives you a sense of dual purpose to others out there where, you don't necessarily have to feel like you live or die by the next deal being, getting the next deal or not, because you do have something else that you kind of can work on. So therefore, that mentality you're talking about where you sort of feel like there's this hidden agenda, it's softened or lessened or diluted to a degree because it's like, yeah, you might want to insert yourself in this conversation, but you don't feel like you have to survive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of truth to that, I think. Whereas before where I had more of a steady flow of income and now I don't, I feel like the grind is a little bit more of like, okay, I really need to be doing more, which I don't like that feeling.
Yeah, because the whole point was you were doing it genuinely and organically.
And now it's like, okay, I guess I like having a flow, like a revenue flow, which now I've learned. So going forward, I'm going to make sure I just plan my money better and not spend it all.
But it's hard that first year.
Right? Surplus cash, blow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that is probably, and I love hearing that real raw story because this is exactly what most agents struggle with. So even if they had a very successful time, is it unpredictability? Is that a word?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Oh, good. I chose one that's a real word. The unpredictability of those. So I remember probably 10 years in, and I felt like I had hit a standstill and I felt like I wasn't doing enough work. And I remember Mark pulling out my numbers for the last 5 years. And I was like, I didn't close anything last month. Like, I feel like I haven't done, I'm making so much less money than I have in the past. And we looked at the numbers, and that was almost to the penny of what I made the year before. I just did it shifted. It shifted. And there is a rhythm, like no matter how many systems, there is a rhythm. Some months are going to have a lot more than others. And that's not normal for most of us to be able to wrap our head around.
Yeah. So the best advice is just don't spend it all and save. Right? Give yourself, like, I think that's one of the things that I'm learning in is it the 30, 60, 90? I don't know, whatever the plan is for how you're dispersing your money. It's
30, 30, 40.
30, 30, 40. Yeah, there we go. Right? Like having the account so that way you can pay yourself a certain amount each paycheck.
That 30, 30, 40, just because that we just threw that out like that. 30 is the cost of the sale of doing business, 30 is your business expenses, and 40 is your profit. Most agents think that minus the split to the office, that's 100% theirs to spend.
Yeah.
But
Forget
there's,
about taxes.
yeah, and that doesn't even
Yeah.
count taxes.
Yeah.
I was good. I did my taxes.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we hit something, a point there that I would love to talk more about, because I think the same thing for myself in all the years of real estate. There is the genuine wanting to help people, yet having to run a business. Yet the minute you start only seeing it as a business, the genuineness, it's easy for that to go away.
It's sales versus service.
Mhm.
I think this is the way that I break it down, right? It's like sometimes you feel like you're selling yourself because it's an opportunity. And there's other times where you just want to provide the help, the service to somebody who could benefit from what you do, right? And I think that's case by case, person by person dependent, I would assume, right? Is that how you look at it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So at that party, when you interjected yourself, what came of that? Did that become a client?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was your first closing, right?
Oh.
You said that?
Yes.
Your first listing?
First listing, and they bought a property, which was a FSBO, which was great. That worked out good.
And I think a lot of it is you were able to think outside the box. I know you thought a lot outside the box in your first year. You did a lot of help to your clients. You walked in there, moved things around, cleaned things up. We won't tell too many stories. You put a lot of effort into those people because you knew this, your heart was there.
Well, it's your value proposition too, right? Like we have
Okay.
to understand what that looks like. And I think I was trying to figure out what is my value proposition. Like, what am I bringing to the table?
Mm.
Um,
Why am I getting this pay?
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, it's a
Mm.
lot of money that we're making, and I feel like if we're making this amount of money, what are you doing for people?
Mm.
So I did feel a sense of like I need to do more.
But it also is, I also know that it was from your heart. I want to help these people.
Oh yeah, 100%, absolutely, and they needed it. Like,
So how do we, as agents, maybe this is a good question for any agent, how do we keep that perspective of I'm here to serve others?
by just listening to what they need. Like,
But it's
figure
so
that out.
hard when you're running a business to not think about the commission.
But I do think, though, I mean, any like very successful billionaire business person out there, right? Like you can be savvy to the business,
Mm-hmm.
but if you stay true to the value you're trying to create by whatever it is you're creating, whether it's a service-based business like real estate, or if you're Jeff Bezos starting Amazon, right? It's like the focus has got to be on what you're creating and who it's helping, right? Because at the end of the day, you're in theory always trying to serve a pain point, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the difficulty you're dealing with? This product is going to solve it, right? Or I'm going to be able to help you with it. So if you just focus on that, then I think that's where you start building up a base of a network of people who just they'll go to you for help, right?
Well, and I'm wondering, Chantel, maybe you can talk about this. You had talked about your confidence. If you know that you can help someone,
I'm way more confident to jump in. Like,
Yep.
if I know, like if it's like if I can clearly see the need that they need. I'm working with some clients right now who they're struggling a little bit with what they want to do with their next steps, and does it make sense for them to move on?
Mhm.
And I've given them all of the education needed, right? Like, okay, so if you did a reverse mortgage, this is what it would look like. If you sell your house, this is what you're going to net. And if you purchase another house, you're going to have a 7% interest rate. And this is what your mortgage is going to look like. Does it make sense for you to sell your
Yeah.
house right now? Like, being just
Bingo.
raw with them and transparent. And in this situation, they're going to end up, if they decide to move forward, they will end up having a higher mortgage, but they're also going to have a house that they want versus being in a house that they don't want.
Right.
Does that outweigh, right? At the end of the day, is that going to be, 5 years from now, you're going to be happy with that decision?
Yeah.
And it's like looking forward to the future. Like, do you really think that's what you want
Well,
right now?
and that's helping the client,
Yeah.
even to the detriment of losing the sale.
Yeah, because it's not about this. Because it's if they're unhappy, right? Like, I can continue to call them, and we have a great relationship. We have a great rapport, and they're going to refer business to me. They're going to
Mhm.
refer other people. Either way, they're going to refer
Yep.
people to me because they're happy. Versus if we go through this transaction and then they wake up a couple months later and they're like, "What did I do?" They're going to blame that on me.
Yep. Yep. I remember when I started in the business when a lot of people were underwater on their homes and having to have a very honest conversation that we could only sell their home for this amount and know that by saying that amount, they probably wouldn't hire me and we probably wouldn't sell because it was not smart. They had to come to the table with too much or they would have to go to foreclosure or walk away from it. So I think, and it comes out very naturally with you, like, of course I would give them all the options. That's you caring about somebody. And as long as you know that you are always, if you truly believe you're helping people, then it's not a sales pitch,
Yeah.
right? The minute you think, I'm not worth what I'm offering here, or I'm not giving 100%, you probably feel a little more torn because you're busy now too.
Well,
You'd like to be a little busier.
yeah.
So, okay, so you had a really good beginning and you just pounded, and you made it happen. And one of the best years of any agent. Does that just keep going? Or was there places where you're like, oh, shoot, I need to get back on the.
Yeah, like this year, what's it been like so far for you?
This year has been, I mean, in December, I was like, I'm just going to relax and I'm not going to do anything because
Because you had burnt yourself out.
I was burnt out. And then I go to listing. And then I really wasn't trying too hard to do anything. And it's definitely showing now, right?
Yeah. Yep. And that.
Which is fine because now it's like, okay, now I'm back and like, okay, I have to figure out like my processes and what I want to do and how I'm going to do it. And I think I'm kind of hung up a little bit on like the processes. Like everyone would talk about, oh, you have to be lead genning, you have to do lead generation. And that was like stressful. Like, okay, I always have to be doing something. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to keep focusing on like doing stuff. I'm just going to focus on what I normally do because that's what worked before.
Yes.
Right?
Well,
Just
yeah.
do what
Let's stop what worked really well before. Let's stop doing that. That's a great, right? That's the way of failure.
Right. And it's just talking to people. Talk to people and have conversations. And like we were talking about the dual career thing, I think the benefit to the dual career would be is just leveraging the people that you work with. And because I think there's pros and cons. You're going to have people that believe in you and are confident in you and trust you like significantly and will work with you no matter what. And then you have people who are like, oh, let's see how they do. Like you're a real estate agent, but you're doing hair. So are you a hairstylist or a realtor? Which one? Are you going to really be able to do a good job for me? Like there's going to be people that have both mindsets. So you just have to know your audience, right? So if you know someone's selling and they're not super confident in you, okay, that's your way in to link them with another agent and to work under that agent and work through the transaction and get your, like get going.
Well, I think you did that. I think you were willing to be creative and not be so worried about the exact amount of commission. And so you wanted to help these people no matter what. And sometimes that means collaborating with other people for their experience. We were just talking about that with Homes on the Water, right? That you hadn't had as much experience. Okay, let's have options. I know I can take care of them because I care about them. That's what you said. I know I can do that better than anyone else. And as long as you believe that and you really are doing that, then it's okay if people decide that you're not the right fit.
Exactly.
too.
Yeah, and I think don't get bent out of shape about it, right? Because you're not going to be a good fit for everybody.
You shouldn't be. You can't be.
Yeah, you can't be. So
Yeah, so I would love, because it's still so fresh, you're brand new, as a brand new agent, what would be the best advice for a new agent as they're getting into this and they're, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, thinking this is the best thing and they're going to make millions? And you said it's the hard work.
practice the conversations. You have to practice the conversations that you're going to have and talk about real estate to everybody and anybody and just try to get people to tell you who's buying, who's selling, and how you can help them with the process. Come from a place of contribution.
That's really good. That's good. Any other crazy questions you have, Andrew?
Well, I actually do have one other question. When you started here and you started doing the trainings and the classes and everything, when you were trying to figure out, okay, how do I go about finding sort of like a mentor, right? Because I know you mentioned you worked with Mary on some things. what was that process like, trying to find somebody who was going to be a good fit for you that you could learn things from and work with and sort of,
Everybody,
yeah,
everybody,
yeah.
because it's, you know, Bobby Gaudette. She's amazing. Um, she's a great teacher. She explains things well. Um,
So you just went to kind of like all the agents.
Yeah.
Chantel went to everybody.
Everybody.
Mm.
Tommy Bulldog gave me some great feedback. Tess Crane is amazing.
But you were not afraid to ask for that. And I think that's where you put yourself in front of people that you respected and observed that they were doing something and were humble enough to say, hey, can I watch? Can I observe? How do I do this? You had confidence, but you weren't cocky about it. Meaning, no. If you're not a humble person, you can't ask for help because you feel like you have to do it on your own. And so many agents feel like if this is mine, I have to figure it out on my own. Or they don't want to bother people. But you knew, first of all, you were willing to understand that people were here to help you. But second of all, you knew what you didn't know.
Well, not just that, you're working with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, this is someone's life that you're messing with. So if you're not willing to ask for help, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing your client a disservice because there's always a better way and there's multiple different ways. So I can go to anybody and ask them anything, and so many people are going to have a different answer. And that's why I was very intentional about who I did ask as well, because it's like, I mean, if you're not producing and if you're not doing your job, that sounds mean, but
No.
I mean, I guess that's
Yeah.
just the reality, right? Like if I don't see your name out there, I'm not going to come and ask you for help because like,
We're in the same place.
how are you going to benefit me? What are you going to teach me?
Yeah. No. But you observe that, you observe and took your job so seriously. You know, we're not just going, we joke around, we like to go see pretty houses. That's not this job. This job is helping people with their biggest investment of their life. And you took that so seriously that you were willing to go to those people that could help you do that so that you could prove your value and provide the value that you promised. Right?
Yes. And I will still do that. Always.
That's good. Well, that's the right mentality to have, right, for success. It's to know that you will die not knowing everything there is to know about this industry is what humbles you and will keep you in it. I think it's true of any industry, right? If you just because if somebody comes in and goes, yeah, I know it all, then you're not learning, you're not growing, and you're not going to grow your business. It's like a one-to-one sort of transaction, so.
So where do you see your business going? One last question. Where do you see it in the next year or two?
I mean, I have.
Not quitting. That's not one of the options because we
Right.
already took that off the table.
We took that off the table. Okay. So not quitting.
I love that.
The
The key of a realtor.
What will my business look like in a year from now? I mean, hopefully double what I've already done.
What does your business look like in 5 years?
Well, hopefully I'm just helping people run their business under my business.
There you go.
Mhm.
You've had that vision since the minute you walked in the door. You had a big vision.
Yeah.
What has this done for your family?
The system?
No, this business.
Oh, I mean, it finished my basement.
It's a big deal. Do you get a movie theater down there?
Yes, kind of.
Yeah. Home theater. Nice.
No.
But you obviously see this as not something, I could just make a few bucks. But you're seeing big.
Right.
Why?
I have big goals. I do have big goals. Yeah, I have a lot of big goals. I have things that I want to accomplish in life. And money is the good. What is it? Money is good for the good that it can do.
Yep.
And I know how many people I can help. I know.
There you go. That's your big.
Yeah.
That's since I know also, you have big plans to help a lot of people.
Mhm.
Then it's worth the effort and the time.
It is.
Takes a long time to build big stuff.
It does.
It's my quote this year from Alex Hormozy. He uses not
He
the word
sees it-
stuff,
I could see you change that word from
Yes.
something else to
but it's true.
stuff.
It takes a long time to build big stuff,
Yet
right?
you can change your whole world in 5 years.
Right. But 5 years is an eternity to most people. That's the difference. If people after 3 months come in and they're like, I'm not seeing it. Well, yeah, right. It's a long game. It's not
It's
going
a
to
long
happen
game.
overnight.
And it's being creative, right? Like being creative and how you can leverage the people you have in your market center. And
Mhm.
like, well, let's do this together.
And that worked.
It has to work.
Yeah.
We have to be a team.
That's right. Team mentality.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for coming on. This wasn't so bad, right?
Wasn't too painful.
That wasn't too painful?
No.
No?
bad.
All right,
No.
good.
Will you do it again, maybe?
We'll check in
Feels-
with you in a year.
Yeah.
In a year.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
We'll
was
do it.
May 20th, 2026.
Okay.
Okay.
See where we're
Be
at.
at episode like 7,000 at that point, right?
It's great.
It'll feel like it.
Great.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
Chantal.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned next week for the next episode.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Behind the Sign, Real Stories from Real Estate.
We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and gained a little insight into the world behind those for sale signs.
Today's episode was brought to you by Keller Williams Realty Metropolitan, proudly serving New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Massachusetts. A special thank you to our agents, leadership, and partners at KW Metro for their continued support.
And thanks to you, our amazing listeners and viewers. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Leave us a review or comment. We love hearing your feedback, and it helps more people discover the show.
And if you have a real estate story you'd like to share or a question you want answered on a future episode, reach out to us at metro.kw.com or find us on Instagram, handle at KWMetroNH.
Until next time, we'll see you
Behind the Sign.